Hey guys, are you ready for the worst date story time you've ever seen on YouTube? Here we go. Give me a thumbs up if you love these story times, and I know you do, so I want a lot of thumbs ups, okay? Leave a comment, subscribe if you're new to my channel. I do story times all the time on my channel now. Click the gray bell to be notified so I can upload a new video, and make sure to follow me on social media. Everything will be linked down below in the description box. Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter. Follow me on there. Oh my god, you guys. I don't know where to begin. So you guys know my whole stalker thing. That update's still coming. There's another update, which is crazy as well. Maybe we'll do that next week for you guys, but I had to put this up and film this first because this is just too crazy. This happened just fresh, like three nights ago or something. So the new year happened. I thought, you know what, let me put the stalker behind me. Let me go on an online date. I made an online profile for me. Yeah. I made an online profile for me. Yeah, duh. I made my own online profile. I was like, you know what, let me just do this. So I got a bunch of hits. I was like, ooh, I must be so sexy. So, of course, the hottest guy. I was like, ooh, he's so hot. So I wrote him back. Well, you know, he sent me a message and I wrote it back. And he was like, hey, baby, you're sexy, you know. Want to meet up in your area. I was like, ooh, you are. And I was like, so sexy. So we were you know, kind of like flirting back and forth. Hi. And then he was like, oh my god, we gotta meet up. So there's this burger joint. And I don't eat burgers, but he wanted to go to, he likes burgers. He's like, I'm under this really, really good burger joint in my area. And I was like, where do you live? And he lives about 30 minutes away from me. I was like, okay, that's not bad. So I said, let's meet there at 7. This is 3 nights ago. And it was going really well. We ended up texting and everything. And he seemed really cool. Really good looking. Nice smile. Just really nice sense of humor. I mean, he checked all my boxes. And I was like, you know what? This should be good. And then I take my mind off that crazy stalker I had. He's in jail where he belongs. He's rotting, although there's an update to that next week. We'll get to that. That's a whole mess. But anyway, but I thought, you know what? Let me just take my mind off things because that situation is kind of crazy and I need, yeah, anyway, whatever. Okay, one story time at a time. But I needed my mind to be off of that. So I decided to move on and have my mind on someone else. Especially I had recently, well, I don't ruin that story time, but basically I had a lot to think about because the situation got more complicated. So let's just say I ended up getting an offer from someone, I'm gonna say, and I told this person I don't know yet. I know. Not from the stalker, but I know. I don't ruin that story time, but let's just say that story time gets complicated, so these two kind of overlap. These stories are a mess. But let's just say that there's more to that story coming, and I'll tell that next week. But this is just going to be... Anyway, so I'm just taking my mind off that complicated situation with this good-looking guy. Okay. So, anyway, back to the story time. So we meet up at this burger joint. And then this is where the story takes take a turn to how my life is. My dating life. Just a shit show. So everything's going great until I walk in to the burger joint. And then the story begins. The juicy part. Well, the shit show part. So I'm 10 minutes late. I'm usually never late to a date. But I'm 10 minutes late, whatever. I walk in. I see him there with a woman. Okay. So I walk in, I'm like, oh my god, I'm so sorry to keep you waiting. And I was like, oh, who's this? He's like, oh, I hope you don't mind. I brought my friend on the date too. I was like, oh, hi, my name is Michael, and whatever. So she introduced herself. I won't even give her name because she's just, oof, girl. Anyway, Well, actually, by the title of this, actually, I'm gonna put the title in it, so you're gonna know who this woman is. Yeah, this is not clickbait either. The title is gonna say who this bitch is. Well, okay, I wouldn't call her a bitch. Well, actually, you know what? You can be the judge of that in the comments below. Okay. Anyway, let's just get to it. Okay. So I was like, hi. She's like, hi. Nice to meet you. I'm like, I thought it was gonna just be us. And he's like, yeah, but you know, I like to bring a friend along, just as you know. I was like, okay, well, I wish you would have told me, but okay. I brought my friend along too. I mean, joked about it. I was like, ah. So inside, I'm like, okay. But I was like, I mean, he's really hot. So I was like, okay, whatever. I was a bit late. I was like, whatever. First red flag. First red flag. Yeah. Oh God, it gets so much worse. You think this is? Oh no. We're just getting started. So we sit down. Whenever we order our, well, I don't order. Well, actually, I order a burger, but they actually have vegetarian burgers as well. So I order a vegetarian burger. They order meat because they're, you know. Well, I'm not a vegetarian, but like I like to. I don't eat red meat anymore, except for maybe lamb once in a while, but rarely. Like I don't eat red meat. I eat turkey, ground turkey. Is that red meat? I don't think ground turkey is red meat. I don't know, whatever. But I only eat turkey and chicken. I don't eat like beef. Okay, there we go. And I maybe eat lamb like a few times, like maybe once every few years. I rarely. But anyway, so I have a vegetarian burger, and they have their, you know, regular beef burgers. So we're chit-chatting, everything's fine. I was like, so how long have you guys been friends? I say, we're like, you know, quite some time. I'm like, oh great. So we're talking, and his hand's on the table. And the woman puts her hand on his hand like this. And I'm like, okay. I was like, oh, you guys are really close. You know, and they're like, you could say that, she says to me. And I'm like, okay. And I'm just kind of like, second red flag. Okay. So our order comes in, we're, you know, eating our burgers, everything's going great. The conversation is actually really fun. I actually like her so far. We're all getting along. And I'm like, and then it's when it goes really bad. Yeah, okay. So I'm like, okay, so now that I'm not a crazy stalker or anything, I'm not a weirdo. I was like laughing about it. I was like, so now next day it can just be you and us, right? And he said, no. I was like, what do you mean no? He's like, no. I didn't want to bring this up yet until later, but I need to bring her along every single time. And I was like, why? What? I mean, honestly, I was gonna say what the fuck, but I censored myself. I was like, why? And he's like, ugh. And then he turned to her and said, should we just tell him? And she said, yeah. And I was like, oh fuck. Cause I knew it was gonna be bad, right? It's not gonna be good. So she says, and then instead of being all nice, she starts getting kind of, her personality changes really quickly. Like, she turns from this girly, fun personality to kind of like this, like, overbearing, almost like ghetto. Like, in the way she kind of like talks to me. Like, she's like, okay, so now that we've all gotten to know each other, like, starts just talking all like this. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, where did this come from? I was thinking to myself, I was like, and at this point, I was kind of over it now. Like, I've had my fill. I was like, okay, this guy's kind of weird. Like, at this point of the night, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be our last day. But I just want to kind of like just, like, you know, like when there's a shit show about to happen, you're like, you're done with it, but you want to kind of see how it ends. I was like, okay, I was over it, but I was like, okay, I'm intrigued. Let's see where this shit show's gonna go, like that kind of thing. So I'm like, okay. She's like, okay, so, okay. Like doing all this, and I'm like, what the fuck? And she's like, okay, so we're not really friends. I'm his wife. Yeah. And I'm like, come again? She's like, what? Ugh, I'm his wife. And I was like, as in like, walk down the aisle and exchange rings like I do kind of wife? Or like, girl, you my wife, girl, because, you know, I like, gay husband, wife. You know, like, you know how like some gay guys have like straight girlfriends who are like, ooh, that's my wife, you know, like for fun. And she's like, no, like, we're married and shit. And I'm just like, so then I start to be like, so instead of being polite, I start just like, you know, like, okay, because I knew this is, okay. The thing with me is I was being all cutesy, but then I was like, you know what? This is where like my niceness wears off and like I'm ready to just kind of be like, fuck it, you know? So I was like, why the fuck would you bring your wife to our date? Like I just said that. I was like, really? I look at him, I was like, what the fuck? And he's like, he looked as if I was shocked. He was like, and she's like, don't talk to my husband like that. That's what she said. And I was like, so, like I said, at this point, like I knew this wasn't gonna go any further. So I was just kind of like, I was just gonna like say my piece and then like leave. You know, I was like, you know, kind of like you're just gonna like, fuck it. You know, like when you're you're playing poker and then you're like, I'm all in. Whatever happens, happens. Fuck it. You know, that kind of thing. So I'm like, girl, I'm pushing my chips in the middle of the table. I'm all in. Whatever happens, happens. I'm piecing out anyway. So I'm just like, so then I start getting rude. I'm like, honey, you need to calm down. And she's like, so I kind of put my hand right here. And she's like, I was like, and the thing about me is, when someone puts like their hand on my hand, like that's when like I get triggered and then I get really crazy. Like I go from like sassy to like bitch mode. So I was like, don't even go there. And then she's like, excuse you. And I was like, so then I'm like, honey, you don't want to go there with me. Okay. And she was like, no, you don't want to go there with me. And I was like, I was thinking to myself, okay, is this bitch worth it or not? You know, like I was like, okay, should I get it? You know, should I get it with it or should I just be cute? And I was like, and for a second I was gonna go get it with it. And then I was like, you know what? This low budget bitch isn't even worth it. I thought to myself in my head. So I was like, so I just like ignore her. I'm like, look, I thought we were gonna have this date. You bring your wife along. I don't know what this is even about. Like, what are you playing at? And he says, we have an open marriage, but she wants to be along. And I was like, you have an open marriage, but your wife wants to go on your dates with you? So I was like, are you bisexual? He said. He's like, oh, God, that's complicated. So then he says, I'm trisexual. And I'm like, okay. Unfortunately, I've heard this term before, so I know what he meant. And I was like, I know what you mean, but just say it. And he's like, it means I'm gonna try anything. I'm trisexual. And again, my niceness had worn off, so I was just like, so you're a whore. And he said, excuse me? I'm like, so you're a whore. You're a man whore. You'll just try anything, whatever. You'll do anything, you know. And what, your wife is gonna watch when we do it? If we do it? Which won't happen because you're a freak. Like, I'm like, fuck it anymore. I'm like, let me just fuck it. Yeah, like, niceness is all worn off. It's just like, yeah. And the wife's like, do you want to go outside and fight? I swear to God, that's what she said. Do you want to go outside and fight? And I was like, I just like give her a look like you're dirty. Like you know when you give a woman, you're just like I don't even like bother to answer. I just give her a look like a side eye like you're dirt. Don't even like you're not even worth a response. And I'm just talking to him now. I'm just like, so you're a man whore who what your wife. So you married a woman because you didn't want it because you're afraid to be who you really are. So she's your beard, and your wife will allow you to have intimate sessions with other guys, but only like if she's what, like around, like what the fuck. And you're thinking at this point, wow, this is crazy. It gets worse. Then she says, okay, you know what? We have gotten off on a wrong foot, she says. And she talks like this, by the way. Like 1 minute she's all like annoying, and the next minute she's all ghetto. It's really weird. She's like, okay, we've gotten on the wrong foot. It's getting a little heated. The point is, I think you're hot. And I'm like, so finally she got my attention again. I'm like, I think you're hot. He thinks you're hot. Let's just like let bygones be bygones. Let's go back to our house and have an orgy. Yeah. And I'm like, I keep praying to God that Ashton Kutcher will come out and say, punked! Or one of them will just be like, we're just fucking with you. But nope. That is how my dating life is. One shit show after another. So, yeah. So I'm just like, I don't fuck married guys, honey. And she said, ooh, you're judgmental, huh? And I'm like, no, I have standards and morals. Look it up, hun. And she said, you know what? You're ugly anyway. And I'm like, oh, here we go. 5 seconds I was hot. Now that I don't want to have an orgy with your husband and you, I'm ugly. She said, yeah, you're uglier in person anyway, she says. You were hot in your profile picture, but now that we're here, just being honest, you're really ugly. And she said it in that voice and that everything. I'm like, so at this point, I'm just like, you know what? I was like, you know what? I'm done. So I was like, okay, look, I'm leaving Crazy Town, but y'all have a great evening, or the rest of your evening. I'm gonna go. So I just walk out. I go to the front of the restaurant. I pay my portion of the bill, you know, because we split it into thirds. I paid my third of the bill, and I just left. Left the tip, and I left. My portion of the tip, and left. Yeah, I came home, and I was like, oh, well, that's another story time for my channel. So that is my online date from hell. He brought his wife to the date and wanted to have an orgy with me. And then when I said no, she called me ugly after calling me hot 5 seconds later. Like, what the fuck? Anyway, just bizarre to me. I just wished he would have been honest and said, hey, I'm into whatever he's into. So I would have known. So I would have just said, I'm not interested. Why waste my time bringing me all the way to this place, meeting up there, ambushing me with your wife? The fuck? And who knows if she's even his wife? Maybe she's just some fucking weird random girl he picked up from the street who wanted to join. I don't know fucking know. I mean, I didn't see any fucking rings on their finger anyway. All I went is just their word. he said that's his wife. She said that that's her husband. I'm like, who the fuck knows? Those two were a bunch of bizarros anyway, so I just got up and left. I wouldn't have done it anyway. I don't do orgy. Well, let me phrase that. I don't do orgies with women. Okay. That reminds me of actually what story time I can tell you. If you want to tell my, if you want me to tell you my crazy orgy story time, let me know in the comments below, because actually I just remembered that I had that story time I can tell you guys, and it's really funny too. Oh, and kind of a hot mess actually. Now that I think about it. Ooh, that'd be a good story time. Okay, let me know in the comments below if you want me to do my whole sex orgy story time. I could do that too. That just reminded me of that. Anyway, I can do that next time or soon over. But anyway, but one story time at a time. But yeah, that's this story. Yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah. I wanted to take my mind off one thing, and then it ended up being another disaster. So now all I can think about is focusing on this other offer that I got, which will be another story time, which will be Sucker update number what? 7 or I don't even know. At this point, I've lost count. So, Sucker's in jail, but let's just say he's still finding a way to contact me. Let's put it that way. And there's a new person in the situation. Let's put it that way. That has given me an offer that I'm still mulling over. And that'll be that story time coming up later. I still have the crazy story time part 2 of the Denver thing, what happening in Sacramento, and then I can tell this orgy crazy story time too, if you want me to tell you that one. But yeah. Plus, some other shit's been going down, which I want to actually capture on film for you guys. And that's gonna be, I don't know if that's gonna be a story time or if that's maybe like a story time / vlog, because I want to try to capture what's going on camera, try to get some proof for that story time. So this time the story time's coming. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Wow. I know, a mess, right? Click the gray bell to be notified the second I've uploaded a new video. Follow me on social media. Everything will be linked down below. So yeah, subscribe for more story time and much more. And I will see you in my next video. This gets crazy. How long is this video? 23 minutes? Wow. Okay. Anyway, I'll see you in my next video. Until next time. Don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you in my next video. Okay, I'm saying that way too many times. I will see you in my next video. Until next time. Bye, guys.